What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel as we touch on the forgotten 90s album of Kiss, Carnival of Souls, The Final Session. And this one got sandwiched between Revenge and Psycho Circus, and I don't know the full history or backstory. There's plenty of other channels who know a lot more about Kiss history and that stuff. I know there was a thing with MTV Unplugged where they did that, where they had a reunion and it became a big thing. They'd already had this recorded, so they kind of pushed it out before Psycho Circus. I think I could be wrong on some of that. I could be wrong on all of that, to be completely honest, but I know this is the one they wanted to shove to the side and get out the way so they could go make stupid money on that tour. And I was quite excited to get to review this because this is an album that I put on and I do enjoy. There's nothing glaringly bad, but there's nothing that stands out to the top. It's just one from top to finish that I will put on and listen to, which truthfully made this kind of the hardest one to rank. I was looking forward to this one more than most, and it was the most difficult because there's no huge high point to be able to explain what I love about a song, and there's no huge low points to explain what I hate about a song. I just think this is a strong, consistent album that I play start to finish. I don't skip this album and go for track to track. All the tracks kind of feel the same, and that made it kind of hard to review. So at any given point, you could interchange a couple of these, a couple spots, to be completely honest, because they can come and go with time. There's no set in stone. But without further ado, number 12, Seduction of the Innocent. I don't care for the instruments. Like, there's a weird tambourine vibe going on in the background. I think it's Gene's weakest entry on this album, especially a heavier album. I don't think this was his strongest point in this song. Number 11, In My Head. The instrumental, heavy as shit, like a lot of the stuff on this album, but I don't like the flow of the verse or the lyrics, just in my head, in my, not, I don't know, it just kind of drones on. I don't like it. It's not terrible, but I don't ever go looking for it. Number 10, I Confess. Good harmonies, but all around doesn't really add much to the album. It's nothing special. It doesn't have heavier instrumentals than other songs. It doesn't have better harmonies than other songs. It doesn't have better vocal performances or better lyrics. Just a decent song. And that ties right into my number 9, In the Mirror. I think this is a solid entry for Paul. I think his vocals shine a lot. And there are some aspects in this album where he really does put some oomph on this, and it does shine. But again, there's just nothing special. Outside of that, it kind of makes it different because it is a good Paul performance, but it really doesn't have any other elements that put it above or below other songs. It's just as middle of the road as this middle of the road album for me can get, to be honest. Number 8, I Will Be There, and this is one that has potential to move up a couple spots, because as I was doing this ranking and re-looking at my list and re-listening, I was thinking I could move it a couple, but I didn't want to keep moving my list. I Will Be There. Paul sounds great in this song. I love the acoustic. It reminds me of like Days of the New. They have that song. Oh, what is that Days of the New song? I didn't even write it down because I was like, I'll remember it. I think it's Shelf in My Room, something like that. Days of the New has a acoustic. It has those kind of vibes to it, and I really like that song, and I like this song. Number 7, I Walk Alone. There's a couple slower songs on this album, and I think this is probably the best slower song, that kind of vibe, atmosphere. I really enjoy it. I think lyrically, it's one of my favorite on the album, if not my favorite on the album. Number 6, Master and Slave. I don't care for the verse, but that chorus is catchy as hell, and I love that chorus. It goes so hard. I have a fun time singing that. The songs on this are kind of weird that some of them I like the verse, but I don't like the chorus, or vice versa. And there's very few songs on this album that mesh together completely. And this is one of them where that chorus, I think, is great, but the verse just simply falls flat. But still good enough to put it up at my number 6. Number 5, Childhood's End. Solid riff, great vocalizing over it. That chorus sounds great. And as I'm reading it, I could probably move this up, to be honest. I like the heavier subject matter. That's pretty cool that they really did kind of get darker themes. And some of the darker themes in this album seem a little cheesy or ridiculous. They're just trying to be dark for the sake of, like, we're going to talk about darkness and hate. But some of them actually have good lyrical points. And this is one that I do like. Number 4 is Rain. And it's got a good riff, good instrumentals. I'm not really a fan of how, like, Paul drags out the verse. But when that chorus hits, it is heavy. And you are definitely getting a very strong Paul performance. This is a very Paul heavy album. I'm breaking into the top 3 is Hate. Good intro, great for the album. You know it's going to be heavy when you hear this song. I think this was a great intro to the album. And that's one thing I think Kiss does well through all their albums for the most part, is their opening track to an album really is the best track to put in that spot. Like on Asylum, you got King of the Mountain that like feeds it off. With this album, you got this song that's just coming in so heavy, so aggressive. Love Gun, I Stole Your Love, kicking out the gate. It's just, they know how to get an album started. And for what they were doing in this album, Hate was that song. Fantastic choice. Number 2, Jungle. I don't care for the bass. It's weird. It sounds odd. I really don't like the bass. But that fast pickup before the chorus is really cool and catchy. And again, strong Paul in this song. Has a weaker solo, but as much as many faults as I'm giving it for it to be at number 2 tells you how good that build up to the chorus and the chorus is, that it'll make up for some areas that lack to hit my number 2. And again, you could swap some of these. As I was reading this list, I could honestly change a few, because that's how this album feels to me. Even to the point I could switch my number 1 out with something in my top 5, but my number 1 is It Never Goes Away. Good build up to Paul. I keep touching on Paul. I sound like a Paul Homer right now, just talking about how great he did on this album, but I think as he got older and did the 80s stuff where he had his peak 80s hair metal voice, glam sounding voice, and then he hits the 90s, that heavier side, as he kind of went with age, I think it kind of made it lower and a little heavier and raspier in his voice. There's something there that when he aged with it, doing this darker stuff and this heavier stuff, I think he flowed well with it. And this is the most consistent song on the album. You get the heavy feel, you get the instrumental, you get the lyrics, you get the chorus, the verse, everything is consistent in this song. All the other songs on this album, I like this part, but I don't like this part. I like this part, but I don't like this part. This song is the most consistent one on the album. It Never Goes Away. That's my number 1, but I'll tell you what, it could go away from my number 1 and easily be at number 5. Because my top 5, I can move around at any point. And I get this is the most wishy-washy review, so I apologize this one's not set in stone. All my other ones are pretty decided. This was the toughest one for me because I just like the whole album. So let me know down below what you guys think. Did you like this album? Did you hate this album? Do you wish they would have got to tour it? Are you glad it was thrown away into the abyss and never heard of? What do you think? Let me know down below, guys. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. We've only got a few more albums to go, and we are wrapping this up. You guys are the best. Peace.